Presentation matters in NASCAR. It matters for everything, but for NASCAR, I think a lot of fans really overlook just how much presenting the sport to new people can change, one, how they look at it, but two, whether or not they watch. And in the long term, you keep making people watch with better presentation, well, things may get a lot better for the sport, and it gets more popular, which I think all of us want. Who doesn't want to share racing with everybody we meet? And I think NASCAR fans are passionate, and the sanctioning body has changed everything on the track with rules, everything like that, but they continue to present the sport the same way while changing it to the passions of different fans here and there, and we see that it hasn't really changed much when it comes to the overall perception. What if all of that stuff on the track doesn't matter? And I don't say it doesn't matter that it doesn't, but I mean, doesn't matter in the fact that people will be drawn in whether or not they change it or they keep it the same. And what if I said that NASCAR right now, how it is on the track, honestly wouldn't have to change a thing to be able to bring more people in? Because again, presentation is the big part of it. Now, I am somebody who is not a pro playoff, pro stage, pro changes everything fan. I am somebody that would be completely fine if we went back to a full season points format, no stage caution, and basically kept everything the way it was pre-2004. But that's just not necessarily the cards that fans are going to be dealt. And the presentation in many ways now is the big part of making the sport grow. Starting with race day broadcasts. Fox and NBC, the current ones we have now, are under this umbrella, and soon we'll have TNT and Prime. Now, with Prime, I'm actually thinking we might see something new, but it's whether or not NASCAR more or less allows them to do it. But there needs to be a better setting of the atmosphere. The atmosphere of NASCAR is one that's unlike any other. You hear it from people who are fans of the sport and those who are casuals, who all go to races and say there's nothing like it. The sound, the smell, the experience, everything about NASCAR in person is different, and it sets the sport apart in so many ways. But that atmosphere is hard to translate to television, and I don't think it's because necessarily you can't do it, but more because we haven't seen overall changes in the way the sport is broadcasted for 2-3 decades. First off, you need the sense of speed. It's a huge draw, especially for motorsports fans, to NASCAR and any motorsport. But when you look at the static shots that we have nowadays in NASCAR broadcasts, where it's a static camera that watches a car go into the corner and then watches them go out, or maybe has a long shot that makes the cars look slower, that can't continue on. People need to stay interested, and speed is interesting to the eye. Look at the way that NFL broadcasts show how fast these players can be at different times and different camera angles. Now, instead of having a replay most of the time for that, imagine NASCAR doing that more in the live shots. The quick editing, the quick nature of the sport. Speed is daring, and it doesn't seem real compared to the mundane way we have real life. When you look at the way we usually as humans go about our lives, it's generally slower. And the intensity in the booth is also something to build upon it. And I think NBC admittedly does better at this sometimes. Yeah, Dale Jr. and Jeff Burton might be a little irritating when they yell so much and they all mix it together, but generally they got the right idea, it just needs to be harnessed more. I'd rather have that than the end of the 2023 Daytona 500.
Larson tried to go to the middle. Oh, he got turned.
Larson Pastrana in the fence. We are still green. No, the caution is out.
That's a fender rub. It's just a little fender rub back in there. I saw it earlier.
At the line, Stewart by half a car length. 4 laps to go.
Man, you can get up there even with that other guy, but you just can't get to pass me. Or can you? Yes, he made it.
Go to the bottom now. He'll slam the door.
He made it.
And this crowd is on their feet going wild.
What a pass. Way to go, Junebug.
NASCAR is a fascinating sport not just in the finishes or the crashes or the start, but throughout the race. If you understand the sport, kind of like golf or baseball, the more you understand it, the more interesting it gets. And NASCAR broadcasts can really bring that forward with presenting analytics, strategies that could happen, storylines, all properly fleshed out through the broadcast instead of different gimmicks or jokes or different things like that. You can have levity in the broadcast, of course. This is not some kind of funeral you're watching a sporting event, but you also have to have that fun aspect to it and the aspect of following something crazy happening that maybe you didn't think of, like a crazy fuel strategy, a tire strategy, or some kind of strategy to get a few extra points that might matter at the end of the regular season or playoffs. And honestly, the 2023 broadcasts aren't that different from broadcasts 10 to 15 years ago. It's just that the audience has changed and NASCAR and the partners need to change with it. And it's kind of jarring, honestly, when you compare it to Formula One or the NFL or any major sport that's succeeding right now. They're succeeding because over time they slowly changed it and us as an audience changed with it. And also, you have to present the drivers and everyone outside the race itself. Drivers need to be allowed to flesh out their personalities more, and also their brands overall, which are two different things. When I went to Kansas this year, we tried asking Ross Chastain about the fight he had with Noah Gragson, and the team basically shut all of it down. They did the same thing at Darlington too, and that's their prerogative. They don't want to have a bunch of controversy surrounding a driver who, by all accounts at the time, was a championship contender. But you can still push personalities away from the track. Guys like Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney have opinions and personalities, and they should not be shut down or just plainly not pushed out at all. I have no idea why Ryan Blaney isn't going to every talk show, every YouTube channel, everything right now. He's somebody who's engaging. He is a nerd with Star Wars. You can bring people in with that. And another example is his friend, Bubba Wallace. Many people outside the sport view Bubba Wallace based on his social and political views. But honestly, you can push a side of him as somebody who's recognized outside the sport to people that they might not know. Bubba Wallace is a huge metalhead. I'm a huge metalhead. When I found out that one of Bubba Wallace's favorite songs is Unholy Confessions by Avenged Sevenfold, all of a sudden I got a lot more interested in how he'd do just because, well, I relate to him. And that's how you can do that to people outside of the sport. Give them a reason to relate, to tune in, to root for somebody. Maybe they're a Star Wars fan, they'll root for Ryan Blaney. Maybe they're into aviation, they'll root for Chase Elliott, or a metalhead and they'll root for Bubba Wallace. Give them reasons, not just, I'm a race car driver. Well, who the hell cares if you're not a racing fan, if you're a race car driver? It's an, oh, cool, okay, anyway, kind of thing. Why, honestly, you wouldn't need to change anything much on the track to draw people in is, well, one, people aren't really going to care if they're entertained by it. People coming in are more entertained by the playoffs and entertainment aspect of the sport. When I was a kid, back in 2004, 2005, I was entertained more in the pure racing aspect of the sport. It drew me in, and you can see by the way I talk about things and what I want implemented, that's the kind of stuff I'm drawn to more. When I was a kid, getting into NASCAR, I didn't care about points, the championship, packages. It helped draw me in later down the line, but the initial draw was how NASCAR and the networks presented the sport, how the drivers were pushed out there. Yeah, I'd see the drivers race on Sunday, but they'd pop up in talk shows through the week, or they'd be in different things in pop culture like music videos and different things like that. Cultural avenues that could open the sport up more in a way that it just doesn't now. Maybe instead of talk shows or music videos, now you collab with big YouTubers like Mr. Beast or somebody like that. And you push them out there to an audience that maybe never even heard of NASCAR or just heard it in passing. The product is generally good. The upside right now is even better. Super speedways need work and the short tracks are atrocious, but based on recent news, that might change. So honestly, the strategy right now is you got to get people in and then use the good racing to keep them there for the long term. But that's just what I think. What do you think NASCAR should do with presenting itself differently? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.